Ladies and gentlemen, let's get real. Relationships are built on trust, love, and honesty, but let's not confuse honesty with oversharing. There are things a woman should always keep to herself, not because she's being secretive, not because she's playing games, but because she's protecting her power. We live in a world that tells women to be open, to be vulnerable, to spill every detail of their lives as if that's the key to intimacy. And while vulnerability is important, let me tell you something. There are certain things a woman must always keep to herself if she wants to maintain her confidence, her independence, and her self-respect. So let's talk about the 5 things a woman should never fully reveal to a man. And before you start thinking, Mel, are you telling me to keep secrets? Let me be clear, this isn't about dishonesty. This is about self-preservation. First, your deepest insecurities. Listen, we all have them. Maybe you feel like you're not good enough. Maybe you're worried about getting older. Maybe you carry the fear that you're not lovable. But let me ask you something. If you keep telling a man, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not interesting enough, what do you think that does? It puts him in a position where he either has to constantly reassure you, or even worse, he starts seeing you exactly how you see yourself. Your confidence is your job. Work on it, own it, but never put it in someone else's hands. Second, your full financial situation. Now, I'm not saying you need to lie about your money, but here's the truth. Money is power. And if a man knows that you are fully financially dependent on him, you're giving away some of your control. Every woman needs her own financial safety net. Your money, your investments, your savings, that's your business. If you're in a committed partnership, of course, finances are part of the conversation. But don't ever put yourself in a position where you have no financial independence. Third, your past in full detail. Let me be blunt, your history is yours. You don't owe a man a full report of every mistake, every heartbreak, every regret. You are not your past. What matters is who you are now. If something from your past is important to share, of course, be honest. But you don't need to relive every painful memory or justify who you were before you met him. Some things are simply not relevant to your current relationship. Fourth, your full emotional breakdowns. And before you come for me, let me explain. Men are not wired the same way women are. When we're upset, we want to talk about it, process it, feel it. But if you unload every single emotional struggle on a man, you might be putting a burden on him that he doesn't know how to carry. It doesn't mean you can't express yourself, but there is a balance between being vulnerable and emotionally dumping on someone. Your emotions are valid, but they are yours first. And finally, your biggest dreams before they're fully formed. Not everyone will understand your vision. Not everyone will believe in your dreams the way you do. And sometimes sharing them too soon invites doubt, criticism, or even jealousy. Protect your biggest aspirations until you are fully confident in them. Then, when you're ready, share them with the world, but on your terms. At the end of the day, this isn't about playing games. It's about self-respect. It's about knowing that not everything needs to be given away just because you're in a relationship. A strong woman knows how to love deeply while still maintaining her own power. So remember, this: protect your confidence, maintain your independence, honor your past without letting it define you, balance your emotional openness, and safeguard your biggest dreams. Because the most powerful women don't just give themselves away, they know exactly what to hold on to. Your insecurities are not something you hand over to someone else and expect them to fix. That's not how confidence works, and it's not how self-worth is built. The moment you make someone else responsible for reassuring you, validating you, or making you feel whole, you've given away your power. Because here's the truth: no one can fix what's inside you except you. When you constantly share your deepest insecurities with a man, you're subconsciously telling him, I don't trust myself. I don't see my own value. I need you to tell me I'm enough, asterisk. And while reassurance is a normal part of a healthy relationship, making it his job to convince you that you're worthy will only backfire. Why? Because confidence doesn't come from someone else telling you, asterisk, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're lovable. Asterisk, it comes from you believing those things about yourself first. Imagine this, you're dating someone, and every other day you tell him, I feel so unattractive. Do you even think I'm pretty? Asterisk, or I feel like I'm not good enough for you, asterisk. What happens next? At first, he might reassure you. He might say, of course you're beautiful. Of course you're enough, asterisk. But if this cycle continues over time, that reassurance will start to lose its power. He will start to see you the way you see yourself, uncertain, insecure, and in constant need of validation. And let me tell you something, nothing is more exhausting in a relationship than having to convince someone of their own worth. Now, let's flip the script. Let's say you do have insecurities because we all dope you instead of dumping them onto him. You take ownership of them. Instead of saying, I don't feel attractive today, asterisk, you tell yourself, I am learning to love myself more every day, asterisk. Instead of saying, I don't feel good enough, asterisk, you remind yourself, I am a work in progress and I am growing, asterisk. See the difference? One version puts your confidence in his hands and the other keeps it in yours. And let's be clear, this isn't about pretending you have no insecurities. It's not about hiding your struggles or acting like you have it all figured out. It's about knowing that your insecurities are your responsibility to work through. Because when you constantly expose them to someone else and expect them to fix them, you're creating a dynamic where your happiness depends on their validation. And that is a dangerous place to be. Think about the women you admire, women who walk into a room and own it, women who radiate confidence, women who attract the right kind of energy. Are those the women who constantly need to be reassured? They are the women who trust themselves. They are the women who do the work behind the scenes, who silence their inner critic, who challenge their negative self-talk, who look in the mirror and decide, I am enough no matter what anyone else thinks, asterisk. Now, let's talk about what happens when you asterisk, don't asterisk. Keep your insecurities in check. Let's say you keep bringing them up over and over in your relationship. What do you think happens? At first, he might comfort you. He might tell you everything you want to hear, but eventually it becomes draining. It becomes repetitive. And over time, instead of making him feel closer to you, it actually starts to push him away. Why? Because confidence is attractive and constant insecurity is not. And this isn't just about relationships. This is about how you show up in every area of your life, in your career, in your friendships, in the way you carry yourself. If you keep reinforcing your own self-doubt, if you keep voicing every insecurity out loud, you are training your brain and everyone around you to believe them. Your words have power. The more you say, asterisk, I'm not good enough, asterisk, the more your brain wires itself to believe it. The more you say, asterisk, I'm not lovable, asterisk, the more that belief becomes your reality. So what do you do instead? You rewire those thoughts. Money is power. It's as simple as that. And the moment you hand over full financial control to a man, you are giving away a piece of your independence, your security, and your ability to make decisions for yourself. Now, I'm not saying that relationships shouldn't involve financial conversations. I'm not saying you should hide money or be secretive. What I am saying is that a woman should never put herself in a position where she is completely financially dependent on a man. Because the second you do, you lose leverage, you lose choices, you lose control. Let's be real, money is not just about numbers in a bank account. It's about freedom. It's about the ability to walk away from something that no longer serves you. It's about knowing that no matter what happens in your relationship, you can take care of yourself. When you don't have financial independence, you stay in situations longer than you should. You tolerate things you shouldn't. You feel stuck. And the worst part, that dependence can start to shift the dynamic in your relationship in a way you never intended. Think about it. When a man knows you are completely financially dependent on him, what happens? Maybe at first he doesn't think much of it. But over time, whether he realizes it or not, the power balance starts to shift. Maybe he starts making financial decisions without consulting you. Maybe he starts seeing himself as the one providing and you as the one receiving. Maybe in moments of conflict, he throws it back in your face. I pay for everything. You wouldn't have this lifestyle without me. Asterisk. And let me tell you, that is a dangerous place to be. And here's the thing you don't need to be making six figures to have financial independence. You just need to have enough to support yourself, to make choices, to have options. Even if you're in a marriage where finances are shared, you should always have your own safety net, a savings account that's yours, an income stream that's yours, something that ensures you are never in a position where you have to stay somewhere because you asterisk can't afford to leave. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but Mel, I trust my partner. He would never use money against me. Asterisk. And I hear you. Maybe you have the most loving, supportive, wonderful man in the world, but this isn't about him. This is about you. Because life happens. Relationships change. People change. And the last thing you ever want is to look up one day and realize that you've given up your ability to stand on your own 2 feet. So what does this look like in practice? First, if you're not already earning your own money, start. It doesn't have to be a full-time job. It doesn't have to be some massive career move, but it needs to be something, a skill you can monetize, a side hustle, an investment, anything that keeps you in the habit of making and managing your own money. Second, if you're in a relationship where finances are combined, make sure you still have something that is yours, a separate account, a personal savings fund, something that belongs to you and you alone. And no, it's not about secrecy, it's about security. Third, learn about money, understand it, know where your household finances stand, know how much debt exists, know where the money is going. Too many women put their heads in the sand when it comes to finances, trusting that their partner has it under control. And then one day they wake up to a financial disaster they had no idea was coming. Don't let that be you. And let's talk about mindset for a second, because how you think about money matters. If you've been conditioned to believe that money is a man's responsibility, it's time to rewrite that story. If you've been telling yourself, asterisk, I'm just not good with money, asterisk, it's time to unlearn that belief. Money isn't complicated. It's just something you haven't taken control of yet. And the sooner you do, the more powerful you become. Not everything in your past needs to be shared. Not every mistake, every heartbreak, every deeply personal moment needs to be laid bare in front of a man. Because here's the truth, oversharing can do more harm than good. It can create unnecessary tension, open up wounds that don't need to be reopened, and even shift the way he sees you in ways you didn't intend. Let's talk about past relationships. It might feel natural to want to be completely open about your history, to tell him every detail, every heartbreak, every mistake. But here's the thing, what purpose does it serve? If he's the right man, he will accept that you've had a past. He doesn't need a play-by-play of every relationship that came before him. He doesn't need to know every mistake you made, every bad decision, every heartbreak you endured. Sharing too much about past relationships can plant seeds of doubt and insecurity. Maybe he starts wondering if you're truly over your ex. Maybe he starts comparing himself to the men who came before him. Maybe even unintentionally, he starts treating you differently because of what you shared. And this isn't about being dishonest. This isn't about hiding things that directly impact your relationship. If there are things from your past that truly matter, things that affect your present, things that have shaped who you are today, then of course those conversations are necessary. But not everything from your past is relevant to your future. And if it's something that no longer defines you, if it's something that no longer affects your life, then ask yourself, does this really need to be said? Asterisk. Because here's what happens when you overshare you, give him a narrative about yourself that he may never have needed to know. And once something is said, it can't be unsaid. Maybe you had a wild phase in college. Maybe you dated someone toxic and stayed too long. Maybe you made choices back then that you wouldn't make now. That's called growth. That's called being human. But if you bring up those stories unnecessarily, he might not see the evolved version of you. He might start seeing the woman you used to be. And let's talk about emotional baggage. We all have it. We've all been through things that left scars. But there's a difference between processing your past and dumping it onto someone else. If you're still healing from something, if you're still working through past pain, that's work you need to do on your own or with the help of a therapist, not something to place at his feet expecting him to fix. Men are fixers by nature. When they hear about your pain, they want to do something about it. But if you keep bringing up old wounds, if you keep revisiting the past, it can make him feel helpless. He might start to think, am I supposed to fix this? Am I competing with ghosts from her past? Asterisk, and that's not fair to him. And let's be honest, some men will use your past against you. Maybe not right away, maybe not intentionally. But in moments of conflict, in moments of insecurity, that information can be weaponized. Suddenly, a mistake you made years ago is being thrown back at you. Suddenly, something you shared in vulnerability is being used to justify his own behavior. And that is a situation you never want to be in. So what do instead? You share what matters when it matters. If a conversation naturally leads to something from your past and it's relevant to the present, then yes, share it in a way that's healthy and self-assured. But don't go digging up old wounds just for the sake of being an open book. Being open and being wise are two different things. And here's something important. Mystery is powerful. You don't have to lay everything out on the table at once. You don't have to explain every detail of your life right away. Let things unfold naturally. Let your actions show who you are today, rather than your words explaining who you used to be. Your deepest fears and insecurities are not for him to carry. They are yours to understand, to work through, and to overcome. Yes, vulnerability is an important part of any relationship. Yes, sharing your emotions can deepen your connection. But there is a fine line between being open with your partner and burdening him with every fear, every doubt, and every insecurity that crosses your mind. Men are problem solvers. When you constantly express your fears, whether it's about your appearance, your worth, or your place in his life, he starts to feel like he has to fix them. And that's not fair to him. It's not his job to convince you that you're enough. It's not his job to constantly reassure you that he loves you. If you are looking for him to validate you every single day, you're giving him a responsibility that only you should hold. Let's talk about self-doubt for a second. We all have it. That voice in the back of your head telling you that you're not pretty enough, smart enough, successful enough. And when you bring those doubts into your relationship over and over, you're not just revealing them, you're reinforcing them. You're taking those thoughts and making them real. And over time, he starts seeing you the way you see yourself. If you constantly tell him that you're not good enough, don't be surprised when he starts to believe it too. And let's be real, men are attracted to confidence, not perfection, not some unattainable standard of beauty, but confidence. When you walk into a room knowing your worth, when you carry yourself with certainty, that is magnetic. But the second you start seeking external validation for every little thing, the energy shifts. He goes from admiring you to feeling responsible for holding you up. And that gets exhausting. Now, this doesn't mean you can't talk to your partner about your struggles, but there's a difference between sharing and seeking validation. If you're having a rough day, if something is genuinely weighing on you, of course, talk to him, but don't make him your emotional dumping ground. Don't turn every little insecurity into a conversation that he has to navigate. There are things you should be working on for yourself, not for his approval. And let's talk about jealousy. Because insecurity often shows up as control. Maybe you start questioning his every move. Maybe you ask for constant reassurance that he's not going to leave. Maybe you start reading too much into his interactions with other women. And what happens? He starts feeling suffocated. He starts feeling like no matter what he does, it's never enough. And that is the quickest way to push a man away. A high-value woman does not let her insecurities run her relationship. She recognizes them, she works on them, but she does not make them his problem. She does not need constant reassurance because she already knows her worth. She does not operate from fear because she understands that asterisk what's meant for her will stay. So how do you fix this? First, become aware of your own patterns. Do you constantly seek validation? Do you expect him to fix feelings of unworthiness that only you can work through? Are you letting your insecurities dictate how you behave in the relationship? Self-awareness is key. Second, work on your confidence outside of the relationship. Your confidence cannot come from how he looks at you, how often he compliments you, or how much attention he gives you. It has to come from you. Build a life that makes you proud. Do things that make you feel strong and capable. The more you invest in yourself, the less you will need his reassurance. Third, reframe your thoughts. When you catch yourself feeling insecure, stop and ask, is this true? Asterisk, is it true that he's losing interest, or is that just your fear talking? Is it true that you're not enough? Or is that just an old belief you need to let go of? Your thoughts create your reality, so be mindful of what you choose. Men respect and are drawn to women who have a sense of independence. A woman who relies completely on a man for her emotional well-being, happiness, and decisions in life unknowingly sets herself up for disappointment. Relationships thrive when two whole individuals come together, not when one person is leaning entirely on the other to feel secure, happy, or fulfilled. Imagine a woman who makes every decision in her life based on what her man wants. She constantly asks for his opinion, defers to his judgment, and struggles to make choices on her own. At first, he may appreciate being needed, but over time, this dynamic shifts. Instead of feeling honored to be in her life, he feels burdened. He starts to see her less as a partner and more as someone who depends on him for every little thing. That's not attractive, it's draining. Men fall for women who know how to lead their own lives. They respect a woman who has her own opinions, makes her own choices, and doesn't constantly look to them for approval. When you give up your independence, you're not just losing yourself, you're losing his respect. And let's talk about self-sufficiency. It's not just about finances or career choices. It's about owning your life. Do you have hobbies that light you up? Do you make decisions based on what's best for you, not just what's best for him? Do you know who you are outside of the relationship? Because here's the truth a man wants to add to your life, not be your life. If he feels like you have nothing going on outside of him, that puts pressure on him. He starts feeling like your happiness is his responsibility, and that's a weight no one wants to carry. Think about the most captivating women you've met. The ones who seem magnetic, effortlessly confident, and irresistible. They don't wait for someone to tell them what to do. They don't change their whole personality to fit what a man wants. They are secure in themselves. They have goals, passions, and lives that exist beyond the relationship. That's what keeps a man interested. Now, some women fall into this trap because they've been taught that being the perfect girlfriend or wife means prioritizing a man in everything. They think that by molding themselves around what he likes, they'll keep him happy. But that's not how attraction works. Men aren't drawn to women who lose themselves. They're drawn to women who know themselves. And let's talk about what happens when you give up your independence. You start shrinking. You stop doing the things you love. You wait for his approval before making choices. And one day you wake up and realize that you don't even recognize yourself anymore. That's not love, that's losing yourself in the relationship. And here's the kicker. When you lose yourself, you also lose the thing that made him fall for you in the first place. So what's the solution? You build a life that is fulfilling outside of the relationship. You make sure that your happiness isn't dependent on a man's presence or attention. You cultivate confidence by making decisions for yourself. You remind yourself daily that you are whole and complete on your own. And here's something powerful: when you stand firm in who you are, when you show up in a relationship as yourself, you naturally create respect. Men don't respect women who are overly dependent. They respect women who hold their own, who don't settle, who know their worth. So take a step back and ask yourself, am I living my life for me, or am I molding my life around a man? Asterisk. If the answer is the latter, it's time to shift. Get back to the things that bring you joy. Set goals that are just for you. Find your own identity again. Because when you do that, you won't just keep a man's respect, you'll keep your own. And that is the most powerful thing you can ever have.